you have to speak to
Ladies and gentlemen, so just a few house rules. If you can have your phones silent, that would be fantastic. And also as you're about to start, it would be really quick. This is the room toilet. But we'll have breaks every 60 to 90 minutes. So for your benefit, so you don't miss it, if you can take your breaks, toilet breaks in that time. So, and emergency exit, one over there, and one over there. And yes, so oxygen mask, calm down. There's lots of pressure. So yes, just if you could have your phones on silence, have a really quick before we get started, and then we'll get a move on. Alrighty.
Are we rolling?
Yeah. So you're in charge.
Good morning, and thanks for coming along for our lunch, which will become breakfast, and for our religious start on dot, on time. We're going to have a bit of fun, and because I've been running a few different seminars and a few different workshops, and I knew there'd be my little groupies, so thank you for coming along, who have actually been to one of the previous ones. So I didn't want to just come here and say, okay, well, here's my presentation. It's a 1 hour presentation or a 3 hour presentation, and it's going to be on this, and if you come the next day, it's exactly the same word for word. It's like a script. So I actually brought with me about 9.5 hours of materials. Well, I brought about 7 hours, and I wrote some extra stuff while I was here. So what I want to do is actually get you to have a look at the sheet on your left-hand side where you've got my notes. And to borrow a phrase from one of my friends, Rob, I feel like I'm a mosquito at a nudist colony. There's boatloads of areas to cover, and there's only one me, and we've got a limited amount of time. So welcome to Design Your Own Wealth Creation Seminar. Whatever you want to find out is what you're going to find out. And you can just say, hey, I want number 12 before I want number 7. I don't care about number 1, so if we run out of time, we don't cover number 1, that's fine. I don't want to teach you anything you already know. I don't want to teach you anything you're not interested in, because one of the biggest secrets to wealth is doing what you love. You'll make a lot of money working in a pet shop, owning a pet shop, if you love puppies. Because you're going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be excited to go to work. Whereas if you love puppies and you're working in an abattoir, you're going to wake up at 5 to 9 and go, crap, do I have to be there? And you're going to leave early, you're going to take long breaks, you're going to be miserable. Any money that you make working in the abattoir, you're going to go home and spend it on Valium, Scotch, whatever you need to do to get your head right. So we've had one request, because I mentioned the other day about buying property with no money down. So one person's interested in that. If anybody else is interested in that, we can cover that. Nobody? Okay. So, what do we call this? No dollar houses. What else went on then?
how to read your financial statement.
Financial statements. Jargon. Yep.
Number 5, de-hypnosis.
De-hypnosis. Okay. Awesome. Oops, how do you spell that?
You wrote it.
De-hypnosis. Yeah. I've got spell check on the computer, that's all right. Just goes to prove you don't need to be very smart in order to make lots of money.
Well, get out of bed.
Get out of bed. Oh, I love you. That's my favourite one.
Yes.
Okay?
15.
Yep.
What about intro to wealth dynamics?
Awesome. Perfect.
The top 5 tips.
Top 5 tips. All right. And while we're on the numbers, what about the 3 rules?
Yeah.
3 rules.
I'm gonna let you.
Yep.
You want number
Okay.
Number 12. Sorry.
Number 12. What's number 12?
Minus 7 is no.
Your 7 SOI. Okay.
Who you tell you. Number 4. She was number 4.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Which versus trivial.
Ugh. Okay.
that will go maybe intro to
That
wealth.
could be actually up in here.
Just
So if you don't feel I've covered it enough, you just stick your hand up and say, hey, you promised me number 4. What about number 4? That's going to give us boatloads, and of course we can actually go into more depth on those. Now, when I did the,
Clock. Number 18.
yeah, you would. That's all right. When I did the JCI meeting last week, we had one of those, number 1, and we spent an hour on number 1, which can be a 15-minute glossover, can be an hour, and even after then, I stopped simply because my hour was up. Because we actually go further and further in depth on that. But all of these talks have been recorded, so we'll be producing a DVD and stuff like that as well, so you can actually get more in depth. And when I talked to Victor before, send me an email about that question that you had, because I'll actually send you the test and you'll find out more about it. All right, no dollars down. No one's actually picked any of the games.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Uh,
No one wants to play games.
Which one's the game?
Games are the best way to learn.
Which one's the
okay, the chair game.
Chair game?
Chair game.
Chair game? All right. Let's play another fun game. Everybody up. Up, 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 up. All right. How much money have I got on me? Yeah, that'll do. Question for you. Making lots of money. There's some people who say it's a skill, it's a science, you have to learn all of the steps, you have to understand all the financial jargon, you have to know what's a PE and NTA and what's this ratio and that ratio and all this sort of stuff. And there's some people who just says it's an attitude. It's a mindset, you just have to believe it, you have to have the faith, you have to visualise. What do you think? Not one, you think it's a combination? All right, stand here.
That's an attitude.
Attitude? All right, you come out here.
I think it's an attitude.
Attitude. Victor?
So it's a bit of everything.
Bit of everything. All right.
Neither or.
Well, you come out and you're going to be my scientific guy. All right? So, you got the attitude? Stand there. You've got the knowledge, the skills, the habits, the know-how. You've read every manual, you've read every book, you know everything there is to know about creating wealth. You believe it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Okay. Come out here. In this game, I want you to hold this up over your head. Right up, Mike, so they can see it. We have $1 million, 1 million Australian dollars, not Zimbillions. Okay? The winner of the game, when I say go, that wasn't it, when I actually do, the winner of the game will be the first person to take that $1 million and put it in their pocket. Simple enough game. However, there are some extra rules. You believe it's all about the attitude? I want you to stand like this. You're only allowed to run with your left leg. You can hop on your left leg, you can walk with your left leg and drag the other one, but you're only allowed to use your left leg to go forwards. You want to take your shoes off? Do it now. Victor over here, Mr. Know-how, technical knowledge, science. I've got everything. Attitude, not so much. You can use your right leg. Again, hop, drag, whatever you need to do, pirouette like a ballerina, you've got the right leg. Okay, hold that money up.
Am I in the game?
Hi.
Am I just holding? Yeah.
You stand still. You can use both legs. You've got the attitude, not 100% attitude, like pretender. You might have 50-60% attitude. Pretty good attitude, but not fantastic. I mean, this chickie here, she's seen The Secret 1,000 times. She's read the Oprah book. She's watched every movie. She believes in the power and the visualization, but she's operating on the left leg. Okay? You haven't got the knowledge that Victor's got, but you think you've got enough knowledge to get you through this little game at least. Okay? So you can use both legs. Up above your head, hold the money right up. Remembering the winner is the first person. Take that $1 million and put it in their pocket when I say go. Okay.
She's gonna get tackled.
You won. Take a seat. Thank you very much. Round of applause. Somebody cheated. Hang on.
Gina, you're good on one leg. Put it in your pocket.
You wanted to put it in your pocket.
You said the first one to just. I was already holding it. It was mine.
You wanted to put it in your pocket, and what did you do?
She snatched it.
Hang on.
She snatched it away from me.
She was 5 meters away from you. What stopped you from putting it in your
I
pocket?
asked you if it was the game. You said just stand still. Bad advice.
Okay. The great thing about games, whether it's Monopoly, whether it's Snakes and Ladders, whatever it is, however you play the game is how you play life. Okay? And a lot of times we create these extra rules. I didn't tell you whether you were in the game or whether you weren't in the game. Okay? So you made an assumption that I've just got to stand still and hold the money up, which you were told those two things. You made an assumption that you weren't allowed to take that money and put it in your pocket. Okay? And there was a lot of other things that I didn't tell you. Nobody asked. There could have been other rules in the game. There might have been not. But everybody has an assumption. And sometimes the assumption is, well, you know, this guy gave away, Warren Buffett gave away $30 billion. That's easy for him. He had $40 billion to start with. But he actually started off with $100 a long time ago. And he's one of these guys who believed in tithing. So even when he was making $1,000, he was still giving away money to charity. When he first became a millionaire, he started building orphanages and schools in poorer parts of the world. So he was always a generous man. He was always giving away money. And a lot of times the assumptions that we just have them, and where did you get them from? We made them up. Or someone said it and you believed it. The fun thing is, when you start to take those assumptions and put them on other people, and you start to do something nasty and say, well, it's that person's fault why I couldn't get it. It's because she was younger, she was faster, she was quicker, she's got $3,000 and I've only got $1,000. But someone with $3,000 can lose all their money if they get bad advice or if they've got a bad attitude. And the person with $1,000 can triple or quadruple their money if they get good advice or if they've got a good attitude. Thinking now? Question everything. Question everything. One of the things that we'll look at is there's 9 different ways to make money. It's only 9. everybody who has made a lot of money has used one of these 9 methods. But obviously, some of them have used different methods. Because there might be 1,000 people you talk to, and they'll give you different pieces of advice. What has worked very, very well for them might not necessarily work for you. So you need to ask a few people, and you need to find someone who gels with you. Question. Now that you know that I'm completely diabolical and will trick you, I'm going to ask you a question. But before I ask you that question, Beulah, what have you learned?
Right now.
Right now. Because you're very cranky with me right now.
Yes.
And the other day I actually made a lady cry.
You did?
Yeah, I made her cry. But she came up a couple of hours later and said thank you.
I think what I've learned in my case is you make your own rules basically. And you shouldn't listen, okay, not take you should take advice, but also you should not just sort of like keep yourself in the box, like we actually make boundaries for ourselves and think you can't go beyond this or whatever, or you bad assumptions, or maybe because somebody tells you you can't get into this business because you get broke.
Yep.
So now you listen to them.
Yep.
You know, whereas you should maybe look at it on your own if you're going to read, research on it. Yeah. Then also maybe I think now I don't know about the attitude and the knowledge. I couldn't figure it out. Was only with attitude she got the money. With both feet, like part attitude and whatever, she didn't get it. But because now I'm kind of like confused because I felt it was the attitude.
Somebody was going to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was going to get it.
So it doesn't matter whether it's attitude.
She could have just launched herself, like, I don't know, like pretend it might be a long distance jumper or something like that, you know. She could have a really, really powerful leg. She could launch herself and she could grab the money first, but there's no way she could grab it before you put it in your pocket. She can beat these other two. And Victor could have won. On one leg, he could have won, even though he's a bloke, you know, and he doesn't have the most shapely legs.
So maybe for me, in my case, it would be like, you're sitting there, you've got the opportunity and everything, but you just too blind to see.
Yeah.
Somebody else comes from somewhere and just grabs the opportunity away from you.
We were talking earlier about the mindset and the structure of the brain, and you look at Einstein and a few of these other guys, they talk about neuroplasticity. Plastic means it can be changed, it can be moulded, it can be melted down and start again. Just as if I lift a chair 1,000 times with this arm is going to grow bigger than this one. And you can actually change the structure of your brain just by thinking in different ways. And we had somebody at the workshop the other day, and after 2 hours, she's like, I've had enough, I've got a headache. My head's really starting to hurt. Because we're forcing her to think in different ways than what she normally thought. You're exercising a muscle right now that you haven't exercised for a while. You're starting to question a few things, which is excellent. And if I make you cry, fantastic. Because I've actually changed the way you think just a little bit. And now you won't be happy when someone says to you, no, don't go and start that business because I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, my sister's next door neighbour's brother-in-law's taxi driver, he did that business and he failed. And if you listen to them, you won't start that business, and of course you can't succeed because you didn't do anything. But there might be somebody else who actually did succeed. And if you can find that person, you can seek them out and say, what did you do? How did you do it? And a lot of the people who are very wealthy, hope they're not listening, are not that smart. They're really just average or even dumb. And one of my friends who I've known for many, many years, who I won't mention his name, he is really dumb. He came from a rural area, farming background, didn't have much education, he can't spell. He's written 3 books, but he has never put pen to paper. He just talks and somebody changes it around and writes it down for him and corrects his bad grammar. Because what he actually did as a dumb guy is went like, the only reason I know how to grow corn is because my dad showed me how to grow corn. Dad didn't teach me how to read, Mum didn't teach me how to spell. but I know how to grow corn. And when he went to school, wasn't real bright at school, but he was brighter than some of the other kids. He thought, oh, I'm brighter than this one, I'm brighter than this one, I'll start my own business. Because I know a guy who started his own business, made a lot of money, that's what I'll do. He started a business with $10,000, and in 12 months he was $150,000 down the hole. No house, no car, nothing. Owed money everywhere. And the best advice that he got from his accountant, declare yourself bankrupt, you'll never have to pay anybody back. 7 years you can't be the director of a company, but it's okay, you won't have to pay these people back and you just move on with your life, get a job somewhere. That was the advice he got from his accountant. But he didn't take that advice. He went to someone who had made millions of dollars and said, how did you do it? And then he listened to that guy, and then he went to another bloke and said, how did you make your money? How did you make your money? Okay? You can make money out of property. 40% of the millionaires have made money out of property. 40% of the millionaires have made money out of their own business. 20% have made it out of the stock market. Now, there might be 0.03% who have made it out of something different, but if you look at, say, multi-level marketing business, it's still your own business. Internet business, it's still your own business. So I'm rounding up those numbers, obviously, in there. Now, my belief is that the 20% who made the money out of the share market, that number's not 30, 30, 30, simply because there's a belief out there, or there's the assumption share market's a little bit harder, or it's a little bit riskier. That again is an assumption. It is risky to buy a property if you spend 20 minutes researching the property. If you've spent 5 hours analysing your company, that could be a safe company for you to invest in. Who's going to cry first? All right. Before we do the no money down, I'm going to skip down to this one because it's my favourite. And I want everybody to write down their answer. It's very important. Would you rather sleep on a bed or a raft? Just write down one word: bed, raft.
What do you mean by rock? You mean a boat? Rock?
He asked a question. Oh my God, Dave! Good question. Yes, I mean a raft, as in
A boat?
a boat.
That's a boat.
Well, a raft's not exactly a boat.
But it's going to be on.
It's a flat thing, kind of like a bed's a flat thing.
But is it going to be on the water? Actually,
Oh my God.
it's going to be on.
Oh my God. Key question, which no one has ever asked.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
That's the thing.
Is it going to be in water? Because if you all wrote down bed, and I'm not going to make you hold up your answers and show, but if you wrote down bed, and I said, we're going to Kariba Dam,
You're not going to go anywhere.
you're going to
No.
sink. But the people who wrote down raft, and I say, we're going to Kariba Dam, they're going to be pretty happy. So it really depends on where you want to end up. That was the key question, and that's fantastic. You're already thinking in new ways. You're brilliant, because no one else has ever asked that question. One of the other ones that I like to do is say, okay, choice of transport. Would you like this donkey or this brand new Ferrari? .9% of people pick the Ferrari. 0.1% of people who say the donkey just because they want to be funny, they want to be smart, or maybe because they think outside the box. And then I tell you, we're actually going on a 3-day trek through the Grand Canyon.
So it's not even done. You can go anywhere.
The Ferrari ain't going nowhere. So write down both, the bed and the raft. And then later on, when someone's looking at your paper, you can pretend that you had the right answer. But also, this section was called Get Out of Bed, because you're not going to make any money while you're lying in bed. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. We need to get out of bed. Everybody needs to get out of bed. And what is bed? Blame. Number one. Number one reason why people don't make as much money as what they should. Whenever they don't make money, whenever they lose money, whenever they fail to take action, whenever they fail to succeed, very easy to blame someone else. It was his fault. She didn't do it properly. Somebody else, my competitor, did this. They made a phone call. They had more contacts than me. They knew more information than me. This wouldn't be true for anybody in the room, but is there any examples of people that you might know? That you can think of anybody who's actually blamed somebody else for their lack of success? You're going to blame yourself? Okay, so you passed step one of getting out of bed. It's very, very easy to blame somebody else. If you point the finger at somebody else, you can't control that other person. So you're actually giving up the right of yourself to control your own destiny by saying, it was that person's fault. I can't control them. They're an outside thing. I can blame the government. I can blame society. I can blame the economic crisis. And those things, when you make it a big, faceless organisation, like the government or the economic situation in the world, the interest rates, it's even easier. Because you can blame the interest rates or the currency fluctuations and no one can argue with you. Whereas if I said, it's actually Jim Smith's fault that I failed, someone else might say, well, no, it's not because of X, Y, Z. But we become very, very good at blaming others, and very, very good at not looking at ourselves and saying, what could I do differently? Who's getting depressed? Who's having a revelation? Step one, get out of blame. Realise that when you point the finger at somebody else, there's three fingers that are pointing back at you. If you're saying, that person had more contacts than me, well, what can I do differently? How could I get more contacts? How could I increase my knowledge? How could I increase my training? They had a better attitude. That's why she won the $1 million. She had a better attitude than me. Well, probably can't go out and kill her, but how can I get a better attitude? What if I rang her up and asked her, can I buy you lunch? Tell me what books you read. Tell me what newspapers or newsletters you subscribe to. What TV shows do you watch? How do you keep that attitude when the rest of the world seems to be getting bogged down in the economic situation or the political situation or the days of our lives? Most people who are reasonably successful are quite happy to help you out, give you some information, give you some advice. They're not going to spoon feed you. They're not going to give you $1 million and say, here you go away and play with it. But they might just share with you something that they have. I mean, it's quite easy to read the stories of Strive and Nigel and other guys who have made millions and millions of dollars, and they will actually tell you, here's what I did. Here's how I stayed strong when everybody turned against me. Here's how I did this. They're not keeping secrets. Because how easy is it to give away knowledge? If I give you this information, do I lose anything?
Could become a competitor.
I could, but how many industries are there in the world? Seriously. I mean, how many people are there who teach you how to make money? There's tens of thousands of them, but they're all a little bit different. And some of them are actually pastors or preachers. They're from a very, very religious and spiritual background. And there's some guys, as we talked about before, like Robert Kiyosaki, who doesn't actually have the formal qualifications. There's some people who do, some people who don't. Everybody's a little bit different. And I'm sure if you go to Chicken Inn and Chicken Slice, Pizza Inn and Pizza Slice, probably a little bit different. And KFC would be a little bit different. So are they really in competition? Number two, the thing that will prevent you from making lots and lots of money is you can have money or you can have excuses. I say to my kids, you can make progress or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. Everybody who has failed to get from point A to point B has got a million excuses why they couldn't do it. And they'll be happy to give you other examples of other people who couldn't do it. Anybody ever heard of Roger Bannister? First man in history to run the 4-minute mile. Now, thousands of years ago, we're talking the Romans in the Colosseum, after the Greek athletes couldn't do it. The Romans in the Colosseum offered huge, massive prizes to anybody who could run a mile in under 4 minutes. Because they were close, they're just 4 minutes and a bit, you know. Anybody who can break that barrier, we'll give you gold, we'll give you wives, we'll give you whatever you want, just do it. And nobody did it. And then because they were the Romans and they had the Colosseum and they could, they're like, we'll get the fastest runner, and we'll put him here, and we'll put 2 tigers right here, and we'll put a bear right there, and then we'll set him off. And guess what? He got eaten. And he didn't break the 4-minute mile. They tried everything. Dangling the carrot, the gold, jewels, big stick behind them, gladiators behind them, swords, chariots, horses chasing them, everything to get someone to run the 4-minute mile. In the 1800s, when we had the science, and the guys who would actually chop up dead bodies and find out the muscle mass of the man as opposed to the muscle mass of the horse and the height weight scale, and they said, it's impossible because of this. It's impossible because of that. The 1900s, when we were looking at hormones, no, the glycogen levels, it's impossible for a man to do that. It's scientifically impossible. At 4,000 years, it was impossible. Except for one guy who was too stupid to believe the scientists, too stupid to believe thousands of years of people who had tried and failed. And in 1954, Roger Bannister ran the mile in under 4 minutes. He just did it because he was too stupid to realise that he couldn't. The next year, how many people ran the mile in under 4 minutes? The next year, 10 more people. And ever since then, there's been hundreds and thousands of athletes who have managed to do it. It's just a belief system. Everybody else had a whole pile of excuses, and they had the scientific data to back it up. And the more educated they got, the further they got away from the goal. And you'll see, particularly among the athletics, there'll be a guy with no legs who can still run a marathon. Someone who's a little bit intellectually challenged who can actually run a corporation. Someone who's got no arms and no legs and can still swim. These guys don't make excuses. They've got every reason to make an excuse and just say, look, you've got no legs, probably marathon's not your thing. Maybe tennis isn't a good sport for you. Maybe badminton will just give you a little chair you can sit there. But they didn't want to make excuses. They wanted to actually get out there and do things. Who likes getting out of bed?
Real bed.
Real bed, this bed, any bed. Might get Evans. Okay. We were talking earlier about, I can't remember his first name, Mamusi. Multi-millionaire. Gets out of bed every morning at 3:30 and jogs for 8 kilometres. It's a little thing he does before he puts in a 12-hour workday. He doesn't have any excuses. He wants to make a corporation, he just does. He started off with a petrol station, borrowed the money from the petrol company. He just found a block of land, was driving past one day and went, that'd be a really good location to put a petrol station. And I've got no money. And I've never run a petrol station. But I think it would be a really good place for a petrol station. So he actually rang Total and said, I've got this block of land, will you lend me some money to build you a petrol station and I'll run it? And he did. And he worked very, very hard in that business, but there were some problems with the business. The trucks couldn't get the petrol to him fast enough on some days. Did he sit back and blame the truck drivers, blame the transport company, blame these other corporations? He jumped up and went, how much is it to hire a truck? And he got behind the wheel of a truck and drove 1,200 kilometres, got his own petrol and drove it back again. Because he wanted to make progress instead of making excuses, instead of laying blame. Some very, very inspirational stories if you look around, and they are freely available. Last one, get out of denial. Denial, the longest river in the world. Biggest, widest thing ever, denial. Where you will find people who are like 5 foot tall, 6 foot round, and they say, I've got a thyroid problem, or it's McDonald's fault. It's not my fault, this is in my genes. But if you take that same person and you lock them away in a concentration camp and you feed them a bowl of porridge and nothing else every day for 90 days, you'll find they get very skinny. It's nothing to do with their genes, it's nothing to do with, maybe it's a bit to do with McDonald's, nothing to do with the thyroid condition. Denial.
Isn't it the same as blame?
Blame?
Yeah, denial is the same as blame.
Blame is when you're externalising and saying it's the government's fault, it's this person's fault, it's whatever. This is basically just saying, look, I'm denying what's actually true. You know. Now, some of these guys, you know, when Mamusi got his petrol station and started to make $1,000 a month, he'd say, well, I'm doing pretty good. Now, his goal when he was young, he's like, I want to have $1 million. Right? Now he's got something like 170 million or whatever it is. But he could get to that stage and go, I'm comfortable now. You know, he could actually deny what his goal was, what his mission was, and say, well, I'm doing a lot better than this guy and this guy and this guy. And you can actually justify it. But denial, there's a lot of people in denial. And it's often about weight, money, relationships, whatever is not working in their life. And as an outsider, you can look at someone else and go, gee, your relationship's not real healthy. And they'll say, yes, it is. In fact, it's better than my mother's relationship, or it's better than somebody else. They can always compare themselves to someone who's really, really bad. You know, I'm chubby, but I'm not as big as that guy over there. I'm poor, but I'm not as poor as that person over there. And they'll have a million reasons to justify it and deny it. And you'll actually spend a lot of emotional energy working on your favourite story rather than actually changing it. Depressed, happy, having a light bulb moment. Combination. All right, let's have a look at the raft. You had a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
you can recognize that that emotional energy that you're spending on denial. How easy is it to change it? Because like you're saying, you tell yourself the story.
Yep.
It's not very easy to change the story because you don't know any other storyline.
Who believes in the story most of all? When you're telling this story of I'm fat because it's in my genes and because my mother and father are fat, I'm broke because my mother and father are broke. Who believes in that story most of all? The person telling it. Whereas everybody else standing from the outside can say, well, yeah, your mum and dad are broke, but your auntie's really rich. Your mum and dad are fat, but geez, their parents are actually quite skinny. So other people can look at it and they can try and break your little house that you're busily building. And it's whether you're actually humble enough, whether you're teachable enough to say, well, if one person calls me a donkey, they're just insulting me, they're jealous. If two people call me a donkey, it's a coincidence. If 3 people call me a donkey, I better go out and buy a saddle. You know? And sooner or later, you have to wake up, get out of bed, and say, if 3 or more people have said the same thing to me, I need to do something about it. Otherwise, I can keep building this story. And there's people who will go from business to business to business to business, failing in every single business. And they will keep saying, I'm successful because I keep moving on. Or it's somebody else's fault why the coffee shop went broke, but my pub's going to go better. Meanwhile, they're not educating themselves about bookwork or hiring better staff or anything like that. You do have to be very teachable, very coachable, you know, and even the coaches have to be coachable. I'd be the worst coach in the world if I just said, look, I've reached this level, I'm going to teach everybody else how to do their thing. But some people will actually practice more than I do. I don't get up at 3:30 in the morning, you know, maybe 5:30, sometimes 6:30. But some people will actually outperform me. And if I stay at that level, I'm going to be useless in 5 years' time. I need to keep making myself better. And one of the great things about coaching is you can actually stand back from someone else. I can't be Tiger Woods. He has better than average eyesight, about 25% better than a normal average human being. But he has a coach. And the coach stands behind him when he's taking his swing and says, yeah, move your left leg a little bit to that side, 30 degrees north, and try it again. Because the coach is standing on the outside. So sometimes your coach will be your millionaire mentor. Sometimes your coach will be one of your friends who says, you know what? When you broke up with that guy because he cheated on you, didn't your last boyfriend cheat on you? And didn't the boyfriend before that cheat on you? And either there's something in you that keeps picking deadbeat guys, or there's something in you that grabs a nice guy and turns him into a cheater. It's the 3 donkey story again, you know. And no one wants to believe that story. No one wants to be coached on that. They all want to say, well, it was his fault. Or maybe it's because all guys are like that. Or there's nothing wrong with me. I've just got to find the right bloke. And just because the last 3 cheated, maybe the next 3 won't. But if you look at yourself and say, okay, what is it about me? If I've had this warning 3 times, 3 businesses fail, 3 guys cheat on me, 3 whatever, maybe I need to look at myself, see how much am I contributing to the problem? Is it everybody else's fault or just mine? Is that a good answer? That's good. I'll answer your question in 6 different ways so that you'll get it from all different angles, and also because that's going to help some other people as well. Just quickly, we will look at the raft, because this one is an hour-long topic in itself. And this one again is to do with, well, I was going to say it's to do with mindset, but it's actually a strategy that leads to the mindset. So, just to make things more different for you. T stands for your thoughts. Who is in charge of your thoughts? Bless you. When you wake up in the morning and you go, it's going to be a hot day, I'm going to get sunburned, I'm going to get sweaty. Geez, I hate sunny days. Who put that thought in your head?
Yourself.
You did. Could you wake up and go, it's a beautiful sunny day, sun's shining, the birds singing, it's going to be awesome? You control the thoughts. And I'll share with you a personal story, because I'm sure it's never happened to anybody else, where you're sleeping peacefully and then 3 o'clock in the morning you wake up and you go, oh, damn, that thing at work, I did this, I should have done that, I didn't call Sally. That happens to me sometimes. It might happen to you one day, or it might happen to someone that you know, because I'm sure it's never happened to you. But that used to give me a bit of grief. And sometimes, like obviously I couldn't call Sally at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'd lie there for 3 hours stirring and swirling about it and getting stressed about it. And 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning I'd finally get up, be exhausted, call Sally and deal with the problem, which takes 5 minutes. The solution usually does. But I've had 4 hours stressing about it, and then I go to work and I try and do my day's work on 3 hours sleep and wonder why my results aren't perfect. But now if I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm thinking about whatever it is, I just write it down. Okay, I've got an issue with that. Now, I'm going to leave that there on the bedside table and I'll get to it at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't need to think about it anymore. And if I can't go back to sleep straight away because I know I've deferred that issue, I've delegated that issue, I'm going to deal with it, I can't get back to sleep straight away. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, there's nothing much happening. While I'm awake and thinking anyway, I may as well think about something I like. I could think about butterflies and rainbows. Or I could think about, how can I next do this better? What can I think about that's actually going to make me feel good? And when I start to feel good, I don't mind so much that I've had 4 hours sleep. Or I'll think about something wonderful and then I'll fall asleep anyway, because my body relaxes. And when I'm thinking about something that stresses me out, the body usually copies exactly what the mind's doing. And so you'll have a lot of tension. Victor, stand up for me. Come in here. What I want you to do for me, mate, face the ladies. I want you to think about an area where you failed. Something that you just completely stuffed up. Thinking about that? Thinking about that? Holding that? Okay. Focus on that. Now, stand on one leg. Hold it. Now, you don't have to tell us exactly what the failure was, but can you say some of the things that you said to yourself after that occurred?
Because I can only think of one thing.
I was stupid, I was dumb, I should have known better.
No, not really. It's what I'm failed in on. It's habit.
Habitual failure.
Yeah.
It does happen more than 3 times. Everybody see that? Yeah. What happened? He's leaving it down. Okay.
I was thinking of what you were telling me, and I lost concentration. That's fine.
That's an excuse. And also he's blaming me. Awesome.
No, but it's a fact that your mind.
Take a break. Take it. Just
It's a
relax.
fact that your mind can only think of one thing at a time. You can't think of 2 things at once.
Okay. Now I want you to, you girls watching, because girls are much better at this than blokes. Think about your massive success. Your massive success. Not just like I woke up in the morning and my breath didn't smell that day. You know, the toast came up without burning. Something that you did really, really well. Okay? and stand on one leg. Repeat for me something that you actually told yourself on that occasion.
Really?
Yep.
I'm pleased with what I've done in my business. And I've worked really hard for it.
Yep. Anything else? How did you feel in your body?
I'm good.
Apart from good, because good is like, that cake was good.
I was more positive in my thoughts.
So you had good results,
Yeah.
thought good thoughts,
Right.
and you've been standing for twice as long as what you were before and your leg hasn't hit the ground. And I've still distracted you by making you think about other things.
That's true.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thanks, sir. When you have a thought, the thought will lead to feelings. And there are still some psychologists who will disagree with this. They will say, that person did something to me, I felt upset, then I started thinking bad thoughts about that person. Some psychologists will still say that. Most psychologists will now say it happens in this order. Thoughts happen in an instant. Feelings take a little millisecond longer because the feelings come from the hormones that are released by your body. If a lion came running into this room right now, I'd be 100 metres away before I even had a thought about what am I thinking or what am I feeling. But somehow in the hardware of my body, if you stopped me mid-stride and said, why are you running? I would say, well, I was scared. That's why I was running. Maybe I was running because I was scared. Or maybe I was scared because I was running. Because there could be somebody else who's still here when I'm 300 metres away, just looking at the line. I know that line. That's the one they keep out the back. It's old, it's tame, little kids pat it. No fear. Possible that you could be mistaken, that's just a line that looks like the other one. But if I'm running really, really fast and you're standing still looking at the line, which one of us is going to get eaten first? Probably me. Lions like to chase things. If you're standing still, looking at him, the lion's probably thinking, she's not running. She's not scared. Maybe she's a tree. Maybe she's a Maasai warrior. Maybe she's got a big AK-47 behind her back. But the lion's going to be more scared. And he's going to be chasing after the food, because food runs. Thoughts will give you the feelings. And if you are ever in a lull, well, Sarah, come up, please. And again, watching the body language. You can't see how many hormones are flying around the body right now. What I want you to do for me is get depressed. Get depressed. Get depressed. Do whatever you need to do to get depressed. You got to do it. There's another $1 million as a price. It's in my wallet. It's over there. Get depressed. Quick.
Not happening.
Not happening? You got 5 more seconds. Are you depressed yet? Right. Nah. Off you go. Bill, come up here.
I'm a useless depressed person.
So you never got a job acting in soapies?
No.
Okay.
I'm a failure at acting depressed.
Sure. Because you can act depressed if you want to. If you can't do genuine depression, just pretend to be depressed. Depressed. Now, go. More depressed than that. Oh, ignore them, just focus on me. Focus on me. Depressed. More depressed than that. That sick person, they're dead. They've left 17 children behind. They're all in nappies. Get depressed. More depressed than that. 17 children in nappies have all got measles. That's okay. It's okay. If you need to cry in order to do depression, that's okay. Do that. Depression, go. Sad, more sad than that. Despondent. Not quite suicidal yet, but kind of there. Okay, freeze. Stay exactly as you are. Where you are in your seat, stand up and copy her posture. Exactly. Try and have a look which leg the weight is on, whether it's a 70-30 split or a 60-40 split. Copy where the chin is, angle of the head, where the eyes are. She's not looking straight up, she's not looking straight ahead. She's not looking at me. Have an occasional look at her just to make sure you've got the hands the right way, whether they're close to the body, farther away from the body. And put your eyes back exactly where hers are. Right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how depressed do you feel? Victor?
1.
5? 4? We better stop now because some of us are actually going to go outside and shoot ourselves. Thank you very much. Now, show me happy. Happier than that. Happier than that. Because she wasn't really dead. You know, she wasn't really dead. You want to dance? Go dance. Dance, do you dance? Come on, come on. Hey, you're not over yet. Get back out here. Do happy.
I'm happy.
Do happy for us.
You know I can almost dance.
Yeah. She wasn't dead. She actually fell over in a faint because she just won the lottery. And now her 17 children are all going to be multi-millionaires. And you're going to be the babysitter for them.
Depression.
You're happy? You're happy?
I'm happy.
Freeze. Now copy that. Chin's up a bit higher. Mouth's a bit bigger. Eyes are actually wider open. She's almost startled by how happy she is. Very firm stance on the legs. Now, what are you thinking right now?
Just more happier.
What are you feeling?
Positive.
Okay, thank you. A lot of people will say, fake it till you make it. Not really good in the wealth creation stakes, because if you're buying the Mercedes-Benz and the Gucci and the Armani and all that sort of stuff, then you're going to end up in a boatload of debt. That is the apparently rich, as opposed to the truly wealthy. Hollywood movie stars who will be flaunting their wealth, $50 million house, $30 million Learjet, best clothes, best parties, and yet how much money do they have in the bank? How many of those celebrity people appear in the Forbes 500 rich list? Among the 500, you might find one. Some of these guys get paid $7 million for a movie, $20 million for a movie, and then they've got nothing left. Rihanna is practically broke. She has $30,000 to her name. MC Hammer, multi-millionaire, bankrupt 2 years later. Willie Nelson, Don Johnson, Donald Trump. Not sure if you've heard of Donald Trump, guy with the worst hair. Think he could afford a better wig? He's been bankrupt 4 times. Just gone again.
Yes?
Just gone again. Yep.
But now he believes more in network marketing.
Sorry?
He believes more in network marketing, and he says, if I'm to get broke again, I'll just look for the next network.
Yeah. What Donald did is actually stepped outside of his personality profile. There were some things he was very, very, very good at, and one of the things was he was accessible. If I wanted to ring Donald Trump 3 years ago, I could actually phone. I wouldn't get him directly, obviously, I'd get his PA, but I could phone his PA and I could set up a phone meeting within a week. 7, 8 days, I would have an appointment to talk to Donald Trump. Okay? Now, not so much. How hard is it to get to talk to Oprah Winfrey? It's pretty impossible. You know, there might be a 3-year waiting list to talk to Oprah.
I tried.
You tried?
You tried?
Last year I tried.
Yeah.
And I got as close as her PA,
Okay.
which was, 12 months work.
Oprah's what we call a star.
I can't stand Oprah Winfrey.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
I wouldn't want
matter.
to speak.
She's made a lot of money by doing one thing very well. She's operating in a star capacity. The thing with a star is they're inaccessible. You can't get them, you can't find them. So if you want to find out anything about Oprah Winfrey, I've got to watch the Oprah show, or read the Oprah magazine, or listen to the Oprah network, or I've got to buy all of her products because I can't necessarily get to talk to her. What Donald Trump did is he went on The Apprentice on TV, thought he was a star, started acting like a star, behaving like a star, becoming inaccessible. People could no longer ring him and say, I'm interested in this bit of property over here. What's your advice? Can you help me out with this here? Because Donald Trump was the property king. And he would give you advice as long as you gave him half of whatever you make. And that was fine. He made a lot of money doing that. And you'd rather have 50% of what he makes than 100% of what you could make on your own. While Donald Trump was chasing after The Apprentice star status and believing he was a celebrity and carrying on like he was Oprah or he was Mariah Carey, he made about $6 to $7 million. Meanwhile, $90 million went down the tubes. Very interesting. But we've gotten off track. What does A stand for? Once you've had fantastic thoughts and you feel brilliant,
Action.
action. Absolutely. Actions. When you are thinking depressed thoughts and you feel depressed, what kind of actions do you take? Possibly less action, or maybe stupid actions. Because you're not thinking right. You're not feeling right. And because your body and your mind wants to operate as one whole. So it's very difficult for you to be thinking about sunsets and beauty and butterflies when your body is tensed up like this. It's very difficult for you to think stressful thoughts about the office while someone is giving you a full body massage. And it's very difficult for you to take fantastic actions when your endocrine system and your intellectual system is saying, I feel crap, negative thought, I'm probably going to fail, blah, 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 blah. It's what they call a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when you're in a bad mood, when you're depressed, when you're miserable, you're going to take actions somewhere in your subconscious. Brain knows, if I do this, I'm going to fail. Or if I do it this way, I'm not going to succeed as much as if I did it this way. But your subconscious is reading the messages from here and here and wanting to be a unified whole. So as long as you're thinking bad thoughts, feeling bad feelings, you're going to take bad actions. And sometimes you can recognise these people as they're walking along the street because Beulah did the kind of depressed thing for us as opposed to the happy thing. And even sometimes I say it in their clothes. You know, if I'm wearing a heavy metal t-shirt with some dismembered body on it, and I'm covered in piercings and big boots and stomping along the street like this, you can sort of look at that person, you can guess how much money they've got in the bank. You can guess how happy they are in their work, in their home life, in their relationships. It's not an exact science, but you can take a bit of a stab at it. They're advertising the fact of who they are, and who they are will decide what they do. Actions will lead to results. Fantastic, 100% pass mark. You get to go on a break in about 3 minutes. Because we've all had 3 cups of coffee. Good thoughts, good feelings, good actions will give you good results. And the best part about it is what happens then, when you've had great results.
Celebrate.
You start to think good thoughts. Exactly what Victor said. I'm pleased with myself, I've done well. Those thoughts make you feel good. And if you're very, very sensitive, you can actually say those things to yourself out loud right now, and you will feel something happen inside your body. Like when you were reading The Richest Man in Babylon, you said you had goosebumps. Because you can't really think negative thoughts while you're feeding your brain good information. Your brain is actually thinking the same thoughts that the guy wrote. And it gives you those goosebumps. What you're feeling is, whoops, maybe some adrenaline, you know, maybe some cortisol, maybe something else that there's a scientific name for.
I find I can relate what he's saying to what I've done in my life.
Yep.
So I get those goosebumps.
Yes.
Because what he's saying is true.
You're having a physical reaction.
Yeah.
Your feelings is your physiology. Having a physical reaction to the thoughts. And then any actions that you take while you've got those two in alignment, that has to line up with those two. Has to. And if you completely decide in your brain that you're going to take a bad action, you can guarantee these two will have actually changed. The results will lead to good thoughts, which will give you good feelings, and you just keep going around. But of course, if something comes in and interrupts your pattern, then you'll have the bad thoughts, the bad feelings, bad actions, and bad results. Everybody has their own gap. Okay? So you're thinking good thoughts, feeling good feelings, listening to positive stuff on the CD player instead of the news as you're driving along, feeling good, going to take a good action as soon as you get to work or wherever you're going, and then someone cuts you off, you jam on the brakes, and immediately you start to think bad thoughts about that person, or about, oh my God, I nearly died, which gives you bad feelings in your body. And you have that icky feeling in your body as the other chemicals are released into the bloodstream. Now you'll have a gap between that person cutting you off at 8:30 in the morning and when you're going to decide to start feeling good again. Everybody's got their own gap. For some people, you talk to them on Wednesday and they're still in the slump because of the person who cut them off on Monday morning. They might not realise it because 10 other things had actually happened. Then they got to work and the coffee wasn't so hot and this person had jam paper in the photocopier and blah, blah, blah. They'll have 100 other reasons and excuses and results and outcomes that feed that negative thoughts and negative feelings that started off with that guy. But if they're a habitually happy person, sometimes we have a few of those who can't even get depressed even for $1 million. Then sooner or later they're going to go, you know what, I don't like feeling like this, I don't like thinking like this, because I'm habitually a happy person. You get someone who habitually runs every single day and you tie them up, sooner or later they're going to break free. If I tied you up and said you couldn't go for a jog, some people would be, thank you, Lord. But sooner or later you'll want to be who you are. Now your gap might be 3 days. Your job and your homework is to shorten the gap. Because I'm sure you know somebody who will be cut off in traffic, and sure they might go, oh, he's stupid. But then 5 minutes later, they're back into their groove. Their gap is 5 minutes. How long do you want to be exercising the brain, thinking bad thoughts, feeling those bad feelings, having the negative chemicals running around your body that actually do, over time, make you very sick? How long do you want that to continue? You get to choose how long your gap is, and you just have to practice it. We'll take a quick break, 5 minutes, and then come back.